Action Records, 360 Army, Rastafari. You already know what time it is. Time to redeem the time. Praise up that shit back. Living in the world full of zombies, they walking dead. Dumb, deaf, and blind Gentile Babylonians. I and I have been quickened, redeemed by the Most High, filled with the Spirit. In the new name I walk now. Talmud Rastafari, Selassie on top now. I reap and I sow good fruit. Trample Babylon under I tremble and boot. Fast and pray, idle liberty. Negus, Neges Selassie, Rastafari. Study in the Holy Scripture, learn the half of the story that they failed to reveal to us. Babylon resistance is useless. Rastafari remain the crown holder regardless. Label me a conscious artist because I remain in the truth and in who's in control of all of this. As we walk and stumble through these valleys and these shadows, must remain focused on the spiritual battle. Led like sheep to the slaughter like cattle, never realizing that you're a divine animal. Imagine if everything you thought became tangible, your hardships manageable. We living with the sickness and Jah is the antidote. Prescriptions and scriptures, words sound power, Rastafari.
Alright, so again, as always, Shalom and Salam time. Lidj Yefdi, Yefdeyah here, RastafariRenaissance.com. And of course, apologies as always for the delay in coming forward to the microphone, just to, of course, continue to give, our own stylings of these vid posts, our own renditions, our own rhythm and certain things, and how we are able to deliver it to ones, of course, who will listen. We give thanks for all of the new supporters, all of the new subscribers. Of course, looking forward to the musical project. If ones haven't received their invite, of course, to the project, that is indeed still in the process. We are still going through that and seeking to connect with ones as we go along. But, with the eyes patience, we, of course, will deliver on that, and hopefully it will be a wonderful project. We're looking forward to a great and vibrant project to be finished. So just in the initial here for this particular vid post, we of course are making the acknowledgement of the second episode in the Moedim, the Shalosh Regalim, Yamet, Sos Be'al, the three pilgrimage feasts, as it is known from the King James Version of the Scriptures. We come forward to you just to give, just a bit of perspective, and so to speak. As ones, of course, would know, today, as it is marked May 24th, would be synonymous with what they would call Yom Yerushalayim, especially amongst the Jewish communities. The German Jews, the Euro Jews, Lithuanians, Russians, so on and so forth. But we don't make so much a huge acknowledgement on this point as far as 1948 is concerned with the state of Israel, Jezreel as we would know it. But just to put that forward, we have our own perspectives, especially after dealing with certain instances of history and the present as well. As we know, even a part of this new administration has gone forward to the state of Israel in a tour of the first from this administration, and a visit to other nation states as well, but within the state of Israel being in that line and in that number, being visited by this new administration as well. But not to segue on that, we'll get into that a bit later. Just to acknowledge the second Moedim, or the appointed time, Be'aloch, the feast of Shabuot, or more so the festival of weeks, the feast of Firstfruits, and the festival of reaping. Chag HaShabuot comes to us within the next the next week, the next 7 days to come. And we make that acknowledgement here because there's so much wrapped around this particular appointed time, especially with not only its agricultural perspective, or connotations. It also has, of course, the spiritual and the physical, but just the overall abundance of its interpretation brings forward so much to be had for ones, of course, who are within this constituency, especially of our own, but those, of course, who adhere to certain Hebraic principles. So just to bring this forward to you, ones, of course, can research a lot more of Shabuot and how it plays into the 3 pilgrimage feasts as per the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verses 16 to verse 22. A lot to be had there. And just to show in its connections and showing how so much of a lot of these things are interconnected, especially amongst the Christian to the Hebraic or Judaic, especially from both of their inceptions, not the latter in which we see today. These are more so just the he say and she say type of traditions that have been kept, with a lot of things that have crept in on the outset. So we don't, make claims on too much of the modern interpretations of either religion or spirituality or spiritual system. So just looking towards that and keeping that in perspective, and more so doing our own research and keeping certain things in order, we really seek to bring out a lot more in these vid posts, a lot more of these stylings and deliveries which we have here for this particular channel and this platform, as we are seeking to use it as such. But even so, just thinking of most of the symbology, as a lot of symbology has come up in the last couple of sevens, the last couple of weeks, and just from our own constituency. Even so, there at the Guion Journal, we intend to finalize another posting just particularly on symbolism, as it has come up in certain conversations with many ones who, of course, visit, patronize, and just extend their viewership to the Guion Journal. And of course, ones, of course, can check myself out there, along with our proprietor Teodoros Fikr, and a lot more of our writers there. Just support to the whole Guion Journal as well. And just sharing in that, we'll have a post about symbolism and just our own, particular opinion and perspective on that, just to share with one so that they can share in that. And maybe, just get a gist of what, we've experienced and seen over the years that have brought us to the point in which we're at this point now. So even so, just with the symbolism here of Shabuot, with the bonfire being one part of most of the symbolism traditionally in that aspect, and with our own background, our own our history, our own traditions, Ethiopically speaking, we saw nothing but mirrors of mescal, especially with the demera on that instance. Now, seeing that mescal does not chronologically fall into place, quote unquote, with Shabuot, as far as the celebration or the commemoration of the date goes, we do much of our research and have done most of our research to come to the point that it actually was at one point very much a coincidental or coinciding commemoration with Shabuot. But of course, in the structuring or the restructuring of the initial Christian churches, of course, which have come to be known as Orthodoxy, or more specifically for our Ethiopic perspective, as well as the Eritrean, and more so a lot of the East Indian, any other Eastern churches, of course, that came out of Byzantium, speaking on that point of mescal, or the finding of the true cross. We find that this certain celebration had a lot of similarities, and even so, with it being moved in a chronological sense, or moved within an observation sense to a different time period in the year, it still had its symbolism that mirrored Shabuot, or the Festival of Weeks, Festival of Firstfruits, in that sense. And so just to put this on the table for more research, and we'll definitely have a lot more to present on this, especially historically and traditionally in that sense, especially leaning toward the modern sense of things. We share this because holding to that sense, and even so, we've pointed out even the studies of one Dr. Ephraim Yitzhak, showing that the Ethiopic church is the most Jewish church in all the world, especially from just the outset of this vid. We share that with one so that they can do the research themselves and not just take my word or any other one's word for it. They do these things and do the due diligence to find them themselves. So we present that in a notion just to show, even so, the Church of Ethiopia, the Church of Eritrea, leaning to the Church of Byzantium, or what they would know as Eastern Rome. And even so, concluding with a lot of earlier Catholic churches that were of the Holy Roman Empire, not of Western Rome, and Roman Catholicism, which they know of as today. There was, of course, a difference in so much between East and West were at odds at that point, to where you can't clump these two instances of history, or these instances of these communities, up into one lump and not be shown to be presenting a farce. But just keeping these things in mind and holding them to, the stick or the candle light, to really examine them in a more prestigious manner, we really find that a lot of the nuances, similarities, and differences of both Meskel and Shabuot bring us to Pentecost. Pentecost, of course, from the scriptural perspective, can be found throughout the book of Acts, chapters 1 and chapters 2. But just for quick snapshots, for one's just to get a quick gist of what is presented there in the book of Acts, you can just zip to the book of Acts, chapter 1, and go to verse 13 to 26. Read there, but the specifics of what Pentecost, of course, is speaking of and presenting is in the book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 1 to 6. And, of course, speaking of the fire, the tongues of fire of the Holy Spirit, and the speaking of tongues in that notion. And I have to even, laugh with myself a little bit, because that's pretty much what we have been dealing with from such a time at this point, and really looking throughout our own constituency, our own prospective community, with ones who, of course, fellowship with us from time to time. We see that a lot of the the ones who are linguistically handicapped at one point are no longer in that manner shown to be so. Ones, of course, who may have already been bilingual are adding more languages, in so much as with what we study and what we hold dear and the things that we intend to do our own independent study on. It just brings us to that notion of having more languages at our disposal and becoming a little more fluent in the languages which we already know. So even so, just for that matter, speaking of points like the biblical Hebrew, Phoenician Hebrew, the Canaanite Hebrew, Proto-Canaanite Hebrew, or the Amharic, the Tigrinya, the Ge'ez, the Koine-Greek, modern Greek, some Yiddish every now and then. It tends to bring us, different perspectives from not only our own insight, but one's other viewpoints and their insight as well. So that way we're able to understand a little bit more than we had from the past. So even so, putting these things together and, presenting them in this manner to show, just the similarities and the nuances and the differences that may seem as differences between Shabuot, Meskel, and Pentecost. We find that they are nearly one in the same in all, once we actually get to, the crux of the matter. So just putting these things forward to one so that they, of course, can become aware of them and study them a little more critically. We really enjoyed not only doing these type of researches, but we really are overjoyful once we have the chance to share them with those, of course, whom we hold close with our own, peers, our own ones who, of course, we speak to frequently, not only on the Blog Talk Radio podcast or Discipleship Radio, but, personally through our own conversations, which, of course, we have, email, cell phone, ones, of course, have, already begun meeting with each other on certain events. And, just not even having to have an event to show up to. One's just, drop in from time to time just to, link up. So that's one thing that we probably have been criticized about from other ones from such a time. But at that point, it's just no reason to even respond to those type of accusations, because many of us have known each other for going on double-digit years now. So if we haven't met, in person at this point, it really, would be a shame. But that's just not the case amongst our ones here. Now, though we're spread in so many different directions, that still doesn't keep other ones, of course, who are willing and able to do certain things and, make certain adjustments to that. It tends to, of course, always be fruitful in that manner, no pun intended, as this is a commemoration and a post about the festival of Firstfruits. But, just to keep that on the forefront for one, so that they, of course, won't get lost in this world and lost in certain things that continue to come up from time to time, or, all of the persecution and the accusations, the slander. We don't let that worry us. That's not, where we should be at this moment. We should be, further along the line at this point. So we leave that for, other ones to, do the criticizing and things of that nature. But, just keeping that here for ones in this instance, my brothers and sisters, we look forward, of course, to Women's Wednesday for this evening, as well as the URZ in the Upper Room of Zion and TJIF. And, of course, culminating with Sabbath gathering there for the seventh day, as we had a wonderful gathering for Testify Tuesdays just this past eve. Big shout out to the Chabarim there of the Discipleship Radio dashboard. My brother Ras Yadinos Teferi, Rebeyan Beshem, as well as, my brother, my comrade, Ras Yason Teferi. And, of course, always honor to, our sisters, Sister Tehitana. You really just don't know as much as you've provided, just, being a help not only within the LOJ Society, but just within and throughout the family of the RTG and DSR. Just, I can't say enough, about, our sister, especially our sister in particular, Sister Mary Rose, Sister Mariama, Sister Emmanuel, Sister Ruhama, Sister Bridget, Sister Mary Rose. I can go on and on. I'm probably repeating certain ones, but just to go through the line, as always, we be here quite some time for ones to be acknowledged. Sister Rochelle, Sister Aisha, and Wyndham Baruchu, Wyndham Hezekiah. I can't. There's so many to name in this instance, but still a lot more to present, still a lot more to bring forward to all of you brothers and sisters to keep and to, hold for yourselves and just document as we continue to go throughout this time, because we can see that things are revving up, just throughout, the world, not just here on these shores, but, internationally. And keeping that in perspective, we make sure to have our news reels ran, especially on the URZ, as well as I see our sister Mariama doing a lot more reports and analysis there for the WMW. And we just are thankful. We're just thankful that we have the opportunity to do the things that we do, even so, more so behind the scenes. As ones, of course, will continue to talk and say what they want to say. But, if that was what is going to end up stopping us from doing what we're doing, then we really should be doing something else at this point. So, again, as always, Chag Sameach, Melkam Fasik, Melkam Meskel, I probably should say, Melkam Pentecoste, as this time approaches us. And, of course, we look forward to our second episode here in the Shalosh Regalim. As always, family, give thanks for life, give thanks for the life giver. And of course, we have a few short clips here to play in a recording at the tail end of this podcast. Shalom.